Hello everyone. Big mid-season patch with a lot of items and summoner changes and many other things. I am back here again to sit and talk about Bard and what I figured out, what I think is good, what I think is bad. The big one here is we have gotten a new rune called Deathfire Touch. Basically every time you hit anyone with an ability, you add a dot burn on them. This rune is quite good on Bard, because every meep count as a way to proc Deathfire Touch, right? It has flat scaling damage 4 to 12 depending on level, and then it has AP ratio and an AD ratio. We don't care too much about that, we will get a tiny bit of AP with Lathyrus. Do know, Lathyrus is magic damage and does not proc our rune, as the only thing that procs our rune is ability damage. And Lathyrus is not ability damage, it is magic damage. So now we can see, if we auto attack this, it does 4 seconds here and 2 seconds here. Since it does 4 seconds here, it does a lot more damage, as after the 3rd second, the 4th dot is increased by 75% damage. Obviously if we auto attack like this, it keeps starting, and then we Q to increase it, then we'll do far more damage, because now it's 5 seconds of dots, and 3, 4, and 5 seconds is increased by 75%. That's why the further into the game we go, where we get more and more meep, where we can continuously auto attack, and then auto attack, and then Q. You can see how the dot starts really taking up, right? And when we get to 3 meeps, 4 meeps, 5 meeps, where we can continuously apply this, it has no cooldown at all, and it can be active on as many different champions as it wants to. It starts really ramping up in damage, which is awesome. The Q is 2 seconds, the passive is 4, the AoE cone is 2 seconds. From my POV, we have 2 rune pages we can play with this patch. Realistically 3 if you want to count Guardian, but I don't think Guardian is very good right now. Between those two, Electrocute is way better early game, but Deathfire Touch has a way better mid to late game. The reason Deathfire Touch is better in the later part of the game is because it scales off of how many meeps we have. So when we get to 3, when we get 35 times with the big AoE cone, this is why this starts pumping out way more damage than Electrocute. But that's also first around 18 minutes into the game, which is quite late into the game. So the entire laning phase Electrocute will be far better. So that's something to take into consideration when we decide what rune we want to play with. I have played with both runes. I found myself to have a bit more success with Electrocute, but I'm also playing in a lot higher elo where games are over a lot faster, so Electrocute has more value. Diamond or below, where games generally last closer to 30 minutes, then I think Deathfire Touch is a lot better and will just do far more damage. Besides that, we also got some new boots that are surprisingly incredibly good on Bard. 10% Omnivamp when they're fully stacked, and they only cost 950 gold. Since we go magical footwear, they basically only cost 650 gold. So these are the boots I've been buying a lot. If I have a game where I decide to go Lathyrus, I will always go Gluttonous Greaves as well. To talk a bit about the rune pages we have, if we start with Electrocute, it has not changed at all from last patch. It is Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Deep Ward, Treasure Hunter, with Jack of all trades, magical footwear, 10% attack speed, 2.5% movement speed, scaling health. Or you can do scaling health and tenacity slow resistance if you have a game with a lot of CC, you're versus Leona or something like that. Just make sure you always have 1 scaling health. That doesn't matter if it's this one up here and then you go slow resistance, or if it's you go movement speed and scaling health, right? Now the new rune page with Deathfire Touch looks like this. We always have inspiration secondary with Jack of all trades, magical footwear. It is by far the most gold efficient, the best rune page in the game right now for Bard. But in Sorcery Tree, we go Deathfire Touch, Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, and Scourge. You can make arguments to try to do Action Darkness to get lower cooldown on your ult, but I think this is consistently better, Nimbus Cloak. Then we always go Transcendence. It is better than the 1% movement speed we get here, and then some bonus movement speed. We generally don't need more movement speed, as we already hit our soft caps with our build, so we don't need that. And Absolute Focus, giving us Adaptive Force is kinda since we don't have the greatest ratios anyway. And then we go Scorch. Scorch is amazing, because it's procced off of our meep, so one auto attack with a meep will proc both Deathfire Touch and Scorch. So one auto attack with a meep, level 1, will do around 100 damage, I believe, with the auto attack, the meep, and Deathfire Touch and Scorch, which is quite a lot of damage from just auto attacking one person, right? Also here, you can also do movement speed and scaling health, just like the other one. Or you can do scaling health and tenacity slow resistance. The build does not really change depending on what build you go here. No matter what, we will do Bloodsong as our support item. No matter what, we will go Deadman's Blade first item. Then the build I've been forcing basically every game is Liandry's, and then the new boots, and then Koenig as my magic resist item, and then as my armor item it's Randuin's if they have crit, Frozen Heart if they have on hit instead, or Knight's Vow if I have a very fit hyper carry that I need to defend. Realistically, the magic resist item can be Force of Nature if they have a lot of dots, so let's put that down to flex. And it can be Abyssal Mask if they don't have too much magic damage, but you have a lot of magic damage dealers, so we want to add some magic damage, then we can go Abyssal Mask as well. But most of the time, my build ends up looking like this, right? This is how my build looks, I feel like, in 90% of my games, but these items can be flexed in. You also have our items like Hourglass. I really like building this into a Fed Master Yi, as it just makes life way easier into Master Yi. But that's the thing, right? We have so many flex items, but just to keep it very simple, this is what I end up with 90% of my game. If you guys like this type of content, then I am live on Twitch basically every single day, where I sit and play League of Legends, play Bard, answer question, and overall try to climb as fast and far up as I can, trying to see if we can get rank 1 again. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all again in the future. Bye!